These civilizations out in space are absolutely fed up with that. And let me be clear about this. This is a warning and it is a threat.
All right, Dr. Stephen Greer has a brand new podcast episode out, and I've got a few clips to show you. The first one you just saw, and we'll get into that. But first, I have one other clip.
Because we want to get the word out about these breaking developments as they evolve over this year, 2025. Everyone I'm speaking to in the U.S. government have indicated this is going to be the year of disclosure of all this coming out. It's going to start slowly and then pick up speed. There's just been the smallest tickling of that right now with some whistleblowers coming forward. There are a lot more in the wings. And then there are a number of activities that are to be determined depending on what the incoming Congress and administration will do. I've been told by many of these special forces guys who've been in these bases that there's a number of them still in captivity, which they euphemistically call, I like the wordage they use, this to sort of whitewash what's going on, refugees. Well, they're not refugees. They've been captured and they're prisoners of these aggressive military and corporate programs. So those need to be liberated. And we're working on that through a group of special forces guys.
Well, you heard it here, folks. This will be the year of disclosure. Where have you heard that before? When have you heard that before? Well, look, I'm not making fun of Dr. Greer. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can only be at a restaurant so long and your food hasn't shown up and the waiters come by to tell you it's coming. I promise it's coming. You can only hear that so many times before you go, okay. Like, you won't believe it till it shows up. Right? So, I just prefer they don't say things like that, right? Just do it. Don't say what you're going to do, at least not for something so grand and big, But then, if I'm being honest, there's a small little part of me that hears that and goes, ooh. It's like, damn it. I can't help it. Anyway, let's move on to this next clip that you saw at the beginning. A little preview there. Let's see the full clip of that. Dr. Stephen Greer saying, there's a threat. This is a threat. It's a warning. These alien civilizations are not happy. Look at that. I can't even get the word out, y'all. All right. They abducted my vocabulary. Okay. Bad joke. All right. Play the clip.
These civilizations out in space are absolutely fed up with that. And let me be clear about this. This is a warning and it is a threat. If we stay on that path much longer, the dangers to peaceful civilizations out in space and other transdimensional space-based civilizations is that it is untenable. So we're at a crisis and we have to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it is to stand down completely those aggressive weapon systems. Now, one of the executive orders that I have recommended to the incoming president and the Congress is an immediate cessation of the use of those systems that target, bring down these craft through a forced effort as opposed to peaceful contact. So we need to take that sword and all those tools they have, but turn it into this plowshare of open, peaceful contact without the ulterior, selfish motive of let's steal and reverse engineer more of their tech. We've already done that. It's been done for 70, 80 years. We don't need to recreate that wheel. We need to disclose the technologies that already are existing, that are to be used peacefully, not the things that fly, but the energy generation. But we don't need to go from one legacy program to something that would be equally misguided and would be using technologies that are psi-related aggressively or in a way that is forced.
All right, so it sounds like, there's a lot to talk about here, to be honest. I mean, let's talk about first about just this. Stephen Greer has, recommended this executive order, right, to put a stop to all these programs, to stop shooting down these UAP, right, these UFOs, and with weapon systems, and let's be friendly, right? Let's kumbaya here. What are we doing? The aliens are fed up. They're we've had it up to here. I mean, I don't know what they sound like. Anyway, you know, to be honest with you, I recommend going and checking out this full interview with this full podcast episode with Dr. Greer. It's probably the most entertaining kind of UFO podcast, just for that sense. It literally is just Greer talking. Like, it just starts, it gets going, no huff, no puff, just boom, whatever. I can respect that. But he says a lot. It's a lot to take in, right? And basically, what's interesting about it is he's kind of going against what Jake Barber and his whistleblowers are coming out, because they want to start a program to do that, to bring the UFOs and then bring them down, right? So, and he's saying he doesn't want to do that, right? And that's why the aliens are fed up. Fed up. Like, it's kind of, I mean, do they just think we're throwing pebbles at this point? But if we're taking in NHI and downing these craft and keeping it and reverse engineering, and it's not a good thing, then I don't get what some of these programs like Skywatcher, which you're going to hear a lot. So just remember that name, right, from Jake Barber and his team, bringing in UFOs and shooting them down, right, or bringing them down, whichever. Right. In the military, it was done with weapon systems. Jake Barber's trying to, I guess, do it more telepathically, but also, I mean, same telepathically, but he also wants to bring them down. I mean, that I've always thought that doesn't sound friendly at all. What are we doing? How do we, we come in peace. That's what they need to say, right? That's what they want to say, these NHI. And then we're like, shoot them down, or even telepathically bring them down. I mean, it's just like, what if someone just took control of your Tesla, right, and brought it to them, and then they took you? There's a name for that. You know what I mean? Not going to say it, but there's a name for that. YouTube. I don't know. I'm just worried. Anyway, getting taken against your will, right? I mean, what are we talking about here, right? I don't know. I honestly don't know about this, but I could talk a lot longer, to be honest with you, about this whole thing. But regardless, that's not what you're here for. Let's see this last clip of Dr. Stephen Greer talking about the differences between CE5 contact, right, his protocol, and the military side of things and what they're doing, right, with weapon systems, right, the difference. And, well, I'll let Dr. Greer explain.
I would call this podcast military and corporate psionic contact with NHI versus CE5 contact. What's the difference? What are the distinctions? Why are those distinctions important? And why we want to do CE5 contact and not a militaristic contact. We don't summon and call or boss ETs around. It's a diplomatic invitation. So let's get our linguistics down here. If you summon someone, you're at Downton Abbey, being the Earl of whatever, summoning the butler to bring you tea, right? We're not summoning ETs that way. We don't call them and they come at our beck and call. That is undiplomatic. It's demeaning, it's disrespectful, and it's the opposite of what we're doing with CE5 contact. That is not the consciousness behind it. The consciousness behind it is an invitation to make contact for peaceful relationship building between species, humans and non-human intelligence. It is not acquisitive. It's not to shoot them out of the sky with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, grab their technology, capture the living beings and put them under bases, or kill them. That operation is 180 degrees diametrically opposite of what CE5 contact teams are doing.
All right, so you basically just, at the foundation, I think, of all this, you just have two different approaches of how you want to interact with this phenomena, or NHI, right? Dr. Stephen Greer's basically position is we shouldn't attack them. We should be friendly. Let's, come together. And gosh, I mean, if I'm being honest, I like that approach, right? Then the other side is like, do what we want with them, right? Not necessarily that they're a threat or not. I don't know, right? But to some extent, just by default, you have to consider them a threat, right? If we don't know what the phenomena is, shouldn't we be cautious? I think it's like a mix of two. It's like, I agree with Dr. Stephen Greer's overall idea about it, but at the same time, we need to be cautious, right? I mean, that just seems, I don't think we can just jump straight to trust, right? I think let's take a minute. Let's be fair here, right? I don't know. Why aren't they making some like worldwide contact? If it really, seems very strange. Like that would be exactly what you would do. You would show up with a big bullhorn and sound it out to everybody instead of like doing these little mini missions, throughout the years and sort of showing yourself. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? That's so weird. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense if you're this big advanced civilization. Maybe maybe a few probes at the beginning. Okay, I get that. But like, if you're trying to interact with that planet, or I don't know, maybe they figured that was easier to remain mysterious. I don't know. There's so much there, y'all. We could talk about this all night. So anyway, I'll put a link in the description to Dr. Stephen Greer's podcast, episode number 4. He says a lot more for sure in that. I couldn't cover it all. So if you want to check out the rest, go hit that link in the description. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.